Welcome, everybody, to the Treat Your Business podcast. My name is Katie. For anybody that is new to listening to this podcast, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. This podcast is designed for people like you who need actionable, quick, simple steps to take to move your business, your clinic, and your life forwards, even just by one step. Today's episode, we are talking about resilience, grit. What does that actually mean to you? Now, resilience to me might mean something completely different, but to allow yourself to succeed, to have it all, whatever all means to you in your business, we have to build a level of resilience. We have to be able to approach challenges, problems, and step over them and deal with them and see them as opportunities for change, for improvement. So I invited Philippa, who is our holistic mindset coach in Thrive. She works with all of our members to find out what's really going on deep down in that subconscious brain that we are pretty clueless about from day to day, that is creating the environment that you are seeing right now. So if in your business you are seeing team that are not performing, or you are not seeing the profits that you want, or you are maybe struggling with trying to do it all, or you've not got enough clients coming through the door, your environment is created as a direct reflection of what you think and what you believe. So Philippa is absolutely the genius when it comes to talking about stuff like this. So without further ado, let's get Philippa on and let's hear more about what she thinks is resilience and how you can become more resilient as a clinic owner. Welcome to the Treat Your Business podcast with Katie Bell. I am Katie, and this is the place to learn the strategies, tactics, tools, and mindset needed to build your clinic or studio into a business that gives you the time, money, energy, and fulfillment you want and deserve. My team and I work every day with overwhelmed and exhausted clinic owners like you to shift them from a business that is a huge time and energy drain and is not giving them the income they want, to confident clinic owners that are making money, saving money, and getting time back in their lives. So if this sounds like something you want, let's dive in. Hello, Philippa.
Hello, Katie.
Welcome to the Treat Your Business podcast. You are an old timer here. You've been here many times before.
Yes, yeah, a few.
Have you? And I've had you back because they're often one of the most popular episodes that we do, because it's all of the stuff that clinic owners, I think, we brush past, don't we? Because we're so busy doing the do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we never really get to get off the hamster wheel, get off the treadmill and actually look inwards and figure out what is going on, which is creating the environment that we are currently operating in.
Yeah.
Which is one that is busy, it's chaotic, it can be slightly stressful, if not very stressful, it can be anxiety inducing, it can be sleep depriving, it can be all of those things. And so I asked you to come on today to talk about a particular word which I seem to be using more and more of, and I often talk to our fabulous members about this word because we're having to encourage them and teach them and coach them and guide them in how to become more resilient.
Yes. Yes.
So when you hear the word resilience as a mindset coach and success coach, Philippa, what does that actually mean to you?
So I think for me, and I think this is also really important what you've just said, what does it mean for me? Because I think that's one of the things is people need to know what their definition of resilience is.
Yeah.
Because I think for some people that word can feel like a lot of pressure. I've got to develop a resilient mind. That sounds exhausting. So it's being clear on what resilience means for you. For me, resilience is about being able to meet a challenge or a problem and see it as a challenge and being able to process it effectively and efficiently. Yeah, with the least amount of impact on whatever is going on. Yeah. And a resilient mind comes from developing lots of different strategies. One of the quickest ways to develop resilience is to practice gratitude. And there is Dr. Christina Costa talks about this. She's done a TED talk. She talks about kissing your brain and being really grateful for all that is around you because of what it does to your internal systems. Gratitude has that knock-on effect of releasing oxytocin, nitric oxide, it's a vasodilator, all of those sorts of things. So it actually helps to calm people down. But when we are actually looking for things that we are grateful for, we become a sifter, a sorter of information, which means we are the solution finder, not just the problem finder, which is what helps to create a resilient mind. If you have got lots of different information that you can sort through and you can see, rather than creating this just blinkered effect of this is terrible, you expand and open up your mind with gratitude.
And I guess that's the whole filtering thing that you talk about a lot, Phil, isn't it? Our brain, how many billions pieces of information do we get every second? It's something
4.
ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
4
Billion.
billion.
Yeah.
Every second.
Yes. And we only process 2,000 of them.
Okay, so let's just stop there for a minute. 4 billion. I can't even think about how much that is. That's just so many pieces of information that are being fired into our brain or in front of our brain every second of the day, of our waking day. And we only process 2,000 of those. So if we are in a state of worry or stress or apathy or guilt or shame, are we then seeing those 2,000 pieces of information that we're processing through that lens?
Yes, and also through the lens of our belief system. So if we believe that things are going to be hard, that we don't have opportunities, that there's never going to be the right physio for our clinic, that people around here don't pay money like that my team always let me down, yeah, that's what you're always going to see, because that's what you're filtering.
And so that then creates the environment that we are experiencing, which is what we said right at the beginning, is that the outside world that we see, we feel, we are experiencing right now is a direct result of our thoughts and our beliefs. By practicing gratitude, we are raising our vibrational energy. Therefore, we are filtering these 4 billion pieces of information into the 2,000. We are seeing different things. Whereas if we're in that state of there's no physios out there that possibly want a job, or there is, and actually, do you know, let's talk about it because she'll be absolutely fine with this. Anna, fabulous Anna from Glossop. If nobody knows where Glossop is, it's because you passed through Glossop on the way to Sheffield. And Anna used to say to us, didn't she? There is just nobody ever is going to want to work for me in Glossop because it's not in Manchester, it's not in Sheffield, it's in the middle of the arse end of nowhere. And nobody's we're going to want to be a Pilates instructor or physio for me. And that was her filter for a little while. And then we got her to see things in a different way. And you explained to her about what was going on there. And she shifted her perspective. On the Q&A this week, she said she's had somebody apply that is the most amazing fit and they've accepted the job. It's incredible.
But it is just about shifting your it's changing your filtration sort of service or system, because we can actually start to see things that weren't there before. And I think I've talked about this before. This is where the eyewitness statements aren't relied upon by the police anymore, because people filter based, or they see in a road traffic collision exactly what their belief system says they should see. If they think if there's a white van involved and they think white van drivers are terrible drivers, then they will see all the things that the white van driver did wrong, not anything else that happened, because it's part of their belief system. This is why they want dash cam footage, because it's more reliable, because it actually says the events.
That's incredible, isn't it?
It's huge.
So therefore, Anna has, I would say, become more resilient in her approach to her employment, her hiring, her recruitment process. Because old Anna, she's going to die when she hears this podcast live. Old Anna would perhaps have been in that vibrational state, that filter, that it wasn't ever going to happen. And therefore, nothing was then being shown to her. There was no opportunities there. She shifted her perspective, her belief, her filter. Great things happened. But that then has this knock-on effect, doesn't it? Of you then having this kind of, what's the word that I'm looking for? When something goes well and then you realize it's gone, it then knocks on to the next thing. You get that momentum, don't you?
It's evidence to your ego and to part of you. And evidence is one of the concepts of building and reconnecting with your confidence. That evidence, and if we talk about the sort of personality testing we do within Thrive as well, we can quickly identify who needs, depending on which colour they are, the most evidence. Yeah, to be able to believe this is going to happen. So it's a resilient mind comes from actually believing it can happen as well, but also having evidence that it's happened, but also being able to open your mind up to the possibilities that it can happen. Because, and that's what ultimately we want. We want this growth mindset. We want this open, abundant growth mindset. Gratitude helps us to develop that because we suddenly see all the things we are grateful for. Yeah. And then resilience comes with, and we gain that momentum. And it's reinforcing one's belief in oneself. Oh, here we go. So it actually, we then start to develop that internal acknowledgement and validation that ultimately is what we all need to be able to do for ourselves, because we can go, oh, look, I've done that. See, I've got evidence of that. Well done, mate. Off I go again. Yes. And so we don't then need external sources of that, which are unpredictable. So that's part of also building that internal team as well.
Dan Sullivan wrote a book or a formula called the 4C formula.
Right.
And he said that in the 4Cs, let me get this right now, it is commitment, it is courage, it's capability, and then it's confidence. And he said most people rock around all day long and they wait for they wait to feel confident before they make the commitments. And once they made the commitment, the capabilities and the courage show up. Like we figure out what we need to do to move forwards. But most people operate from a place of A, I need the evidence. B, I need to know the full how from start to finish before I'm going to take that leap of faith. Or I need to feel confident that this is the right decision to make. And so this whole leap of faith when the net will appear saying is that most people don't actually take that leap and they don't step into that next big thing or the thing that is there for them that's going to take them to that next level of their growth or hiring or firing or getting rid of somebody that isn't aligned with your business or whatever it is, because most of us wait to feel confident first of all. And what he was saying is that, and this is what I think for me makes up a resilient mindset and a resilient person, is that they have the ability to, excuse my French, please turn me down if kids are listening to this, to just say, okay, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to trust that the how will appear along my journey. And I don't need to know all of the steps to just make a decision to do it. And I think for me, that is resilience. And what you're saying is exactly the same there, Philippa, isn't it? That confidence comes from doing things, getting that reward, then having the evidence to show our ego that it was great, and it allows you to commit then at a higher level.
And as a holistic mindset coach, when it comes to confidence, we talk about 3 concepts. We talk about practice, evidence, and learning to love the shadow. And that part of learning to love the shadow is learning to understand that sometimes it is going to be difficult, and a part of us won't want to do it, and a part of us will have loads of questions, and a part of us will doubt us. But that's okay, because that's part of who we are. And we have to learn to love that part of us. And I think the ability to be able to take that leap of faith also comes from also having that model to us. And lots of people have never had taking the leap of faith modeled to them as well. And this goes all the way back to childhood as well. And having been a teacher, I also realised that the education system is guilty of this. Children aren't allowed to take that leap of faith of, here's a bird's nest, what do you want to do with it? How can you tell people about it? They're not allowed to go, I'm going to do a painting, I'm going to write a story, I want to try and make my own bird's nest. They're not allowed to take that leap of faith of just trusting themselves that they're going to figure it out as they go along, and that's going to be okay. So I think this also acknowledging that the leap of faith is, some of us may never have known it, but we have evidence of so many people within Thrive who have taken that leap of faith.
Every single member that joins us
Mhm.
have shown to themselves, not to us, we don't need to be shown. We know they're fantastic people anyway. They just don't believe it yet.
Yeah.
But they've all taken that leap of faith, because there is not one of them that came onto the program that knew or could guarantee that they were going to get the outcome, the dream outcome that they were looking for.
Mm.
But they had to just trust in the process. Some of them needed evidence and speaking to other people and seeing what everybody else was doing. Again, depending on your type of personality. But that commitment allows them to then go, I'm here now, and now I'm going to show up, and now I'm going to step up. And now it's really happening. And that is resilience, isn't it? Because otherwise, what's the other option? Stay doing what you're doing and stay exactly where you are and live a really average life.
Yeah. But for some people, they haven't got to know themselves yet enough to be able to trust themselves that taking the leap of faith is still the best option.
Yeah.
They don't know their internal team yet. They don't know that actually that they've got everything that within to actually succeed. And for me, resilience is also about really getting to know yourself, your light and your shadow. Yeah. And loving all of those parts, which might seem a bit woo for some people, but it works. And understanding why certain parts of you show up at certain times and still being able to do it and bring them all along for the ride. Yeah.
And sometimes I think in life, I thought I was going to get away with an episode of not mentioning Clinic Growth Live, but it looks like you're going to mention Clinic Growth Live. How fabulous was it?
It was amazing. I wore sequins. You wore sequins.
And one of our newest members, Neil, I'm going to mention him. He said that he's joined the program and he set himself a goal. Clinic Growth Live 2026. He wants to be on the stage and he has already got his sequin jacket ready. I'm excited for that day. Yeah. However, why was I telling you this? Oh, because what would have been easy is to play a smaller game. For me, for you, for Nicola, who operationally was making things happen.
Yeah.
For our members that came on stage, for our over 100 people that decided to buy a ticket and turn up to the most salubrious Hilton in the world in Coventry, where they knew nobody and they didn't know what to expect. And Neil said to me on the day, he caught me in reception as we were passing through the lobby, and he said, "This is wild." He said, "This is like nothing I've ever been to before. I thought I was coming to a business CPD event with patterned horrible carpet in a hotel room that was going to smell all musty of chips." He said, "And this is unbelievable." And so everybody took that leap of faith in the room. We took the leap of faith to run the event because it'd never been done before. I remember thinking in the morning, we got up, dinner was Philippa was super early, 4 a.m. Oh my goodness, it was so early. And we walked into that room and I could tell we both had those nerves of, okay, this is really happening now. But if we didn't feel like that, we're not going to grow. We're not going to serve more people and help more people in an impactful way. We could have just not stayed small, because we don't do anything small, but we could have just stayed in our comfort zone, couldn't we, of what we know. But we didn't. We all stepped out of that. Everybody in that room stepped out of it. And some of those people decided to jump on board and become members because they were like, I'm ready to take this leap.
Yeah.
I've got some evidence, but I've got that kind of energy from everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ride with it rather than being solo and being on your own. And I think clinic owners do feel so lonely. And that's where we can feel that we're not resilient people, because everything can get to us and we can get stuck in that cycle of not being able to pull ourselves out from. We see, don't we, lots of clinic owners talking about clients taking advantage of them, calling them outside of their hours, asking them to slot them in at certain times, asking for discounts, not paying them what they're worth, cancelling late, all of those things. When you're feeling low or stressed or anxious or in your own head, we're not resilient to all of that. And it can become like a big pressure.
And I think also within that, what you've just said as well, is within the resilient mind is also boundaries. Yeah. A resilient mind has boundaries. A resilient mind knows where the line in the sand is. what is enough, what isn't enough. You just said about clients taking advantage. A resilient mind doesn't allow that to happen, or is able to reinforce the boundary with compassion, still in a respectful way, but is able to do that without if, buts, maybes, and loads of doubt. Yeah, because they already know why that boundary is so important.
And is that the same then, Philippa, for our clinic owners that have got team around them? And that is a really daunting thing to step into, you're new to it. Or maybe you're a clinic owner listening to this who've already got team. And we have lots of conversations with our members, don't we, about how much they're tolerating. And I remind them, it's your business. You take all the risk. You get to decide. Nobody else. It's that, it is resilience that, what am I prepared to tolerate in terms of a boundary? What's okay? What is acceptable through my book? What's not? And then having that confidence to approach it and deal with it in a professional, compassionate, respectful way.
And I think sometimes business owners, clinic owners, because you're all helping, yes, you forget to help yourselves in that first instance and create that boundary. And I think I know that many of the clinic owners that we've worked with are also people pleasers. It's how they've built their business, by overgiving, of their time, their energy, all of those sorts of things, and they're incredibly successful. And then all of a sudden, I can't do this anymore, and they need to be able to put in that boundary. And for a part of them, that is really hard. But we work on that, and we can work on that, and it can happen, and it does happen. And I think I'm going off on a tangent again, but I think it's really important that people understand that if you're listening to this and you are in a situation where you feel like you're at the point of no return, I would like to say to you that I think that can change. Yes, and we've changed it with loads of people and supported them through that. Yes, especially with team. If you feel like you're at that point of no return with your team and you're foobarred, basically, I'd like to say you're not. Yeah, come and talk to us. Yeah,
It's giving people permission to accept, to know it doesn't have to be this way.
and give yourself. Sorry, carry on.
No, carry on.
I was just going to say, it's giving yourself permission to be you. Yes, because it's exhausting trying to be everybody else, isn't it? As well, it's giving yourself permission to change things. It's giving yourself permission to actually live that abundant level 10 life, rather than just to be walked over.
And there'll be a lot of clinic owners listening to this who currently feel like they're a doormat by family, by kids, by friends, by all of the clubs that they're involved in, trying to keep everybody happy in their family network, their clients, their team. And that's because it's a bit of a vicious circle, isn't it? When we feel like we lack that confidence, or we lack that kind of self-belief and that self-worth, it spirals. It doesn't just have an impact in our business life, it has an impact personally and professionally. So often when you deal with this kind of big stuff, because it is big stuff, but you can't out-strategy this. You can't put processes in place. A few weeks ago, we had Nicola on the podcast, and we were talking about processes and systems and all that shit that she absolutely loves. But without this resilience and without this self-worth and self-confidence, the processes and the systems, they're going to last.
They're not going to be reinforced.
No.
They're not going to be repeated. And then you've got fabulous handbooks on X, Y, and Z that nobody's doing because there are no boundaries. And boundaries are there to help a part of us that needs to feel safe. Not going to go into safety and what that actually is and all of that today. That's a whole nother podcast. But and I think it's taking it down a level, isn't it? I think we started this talking about doing, yes, and there was a lot of doing. Resilience is a state of mind, and it's a state of being. And this isn't about doing more. This actually might be about doing less and being more, and sitting with some of the uncomfortable stuff that a part of you actually tries to shove in a box. That never goes well, people. Never. let's stop doing that, please. Yeah. Um, so, and it being able to get to know yourself. I can't reiterate that enough today. Your internal
Yeah.
team are your best team, but so many people ignore them.
So there's going to be so many nuggets that people take from this, but I am like, I am Mrs. Doer. I'm not always great at being. I am a doing person. So I'm
Mm,
already thinking, okay, this is great, but what do I need to do? How do I be more? How do I connect with my internal team? How
mm,
do I nail this? How do I get this, a grip of this?
yeah.
So for those people who are like me listening to this, Philippa, what would be like some simple advice or actionable steps that I could take?
The first thing is to start practicing gratitude. And for some of our clients, what they simply do is before they go to bed at night, they write down 10 things that they're grateful for. Yeah, some people do it in the morning. Some people have now brought it to their team. The team
Mhm.
have create a gratitude wall. Yes, some people are doing it in their families where they sit down for dinner every evening and everyone says something that they're grateful for at the dinner table. So that's one thing to do. I think also just taking that opportunity to sit as well or lie just for 5 minutes. I'm not going to tell you to do it for an hour or anything like that. I'm not going to tell you to go and do Joe Dispenza level meditations, which are long, amazing, but
Amazing.
amazing, but incredibly long. If you are a doer and I'm going to tell you to go and be for an hour, a part of you will rebel. Yes, it will not go well.
All,
All of you will rebel.
all,
So just practice being, just practice sitting in the garden, sitting on a bench, noticing the things around you. Just get into some breath work. Do a Google on YouTube of meditations for being, anything like that as well. But also noticing, and I don't like this word, part of me does not like enjoy this word because it is a real buzzword. Start to notice your triggers. Be curious about your own emotions. Yes. Where do you start to find yourself getting angry, being happy? Yeah. Where do you find yourself? And when we're being happy, that's a glimmer. Yeah. So a trigger or a glimmer. So noticing those when they're happening. So you start to be your own detective of your own responses as well. So that we're starting to build that in. That can be very simple within that. But also start to be curious about the voice that is showing up sometimes, that inner critic, and what they're saying to you as well. And is it true?
and I think the more that I love gratitude and I love the weave it into your normal day
Mm,
because then it's not like another thing on the
mm,
to-do list of shit you've got to remember to do before you go to bed.
yep.
I've not only got to put 55 different face creams on, I've now got to write 10 things that I'm grateful for. I've got to put hand cream on because now I'm 40 this year. All this shit apparently goes downhill. It's another thing on the to-do list. But if
No,
you can,
don't believe it. Don't believe it. That's a filtering thing.
oh, you see, okay, clearly, because my Instagram is telling me about how bad I'm going to look in the next 5 years. So weaving it into your day is great. Being grateful. I went for a dog walk early this morning. The sun was just rising, and I didn't have my audiobook on today because my earphones had run out of battery. And I was really like, oh, for fuck's sake, this is not leveraging my time. I wanted to listen to this. I've got to get through this chapter. But actually, I had that moment of being,
Mm,
and I was able to be grateful for the fact that I was up before most of the UK this morning
mm,
and got the sunrise. And I was with my dog. He was super happy and it was cold and crisp and all those things. But when you are in a world of your phone and Instagram and TikTok and God knows whatever else, and audiobooks and all of those things, you can't always be.
mm.
We're hyper all the time, aren't we?
We're
So,
overstimulated.
oh, massively overstimulated. And I see this all the time with my husband because he wants to pick up his phone from the sofa every 30 seconds. And if we're trying to watch something, I have to leave my phone upstairs because I know I would also do the same.
Mm,
It's that the more you practice it, the easier it gets to stay focused on the
mm,
thing that you're actually watching on television or whatever it is that you're actually
mm.
doing. So weaving gratitude into your day, I really like.
Yeah.
And when you have more time in quiet mode, literally 5 minutes,
Mm,
it's amazing what comes through. It's when you get some of your best ideas. It's
mm,
when you do start to tune into those inner critics or that voice that's telling you something. But it's only when you tune into it that you then realize this is what's running the show. This is why I'm not getting rid of that fucking person in the business. This
Mm,
is why I'm tolerating somebody not coming to the clinic on time for their shift and they're always 10 minutes late. All of those little things that are showing up in your environment, you don't realize what is running the show until you sit with it and you quiet with it.
absolutely. And I think some people will be able to resonate with this if we think about some of your best ideas might actually come while you're driving,
Yeah.
yes, as well, or
Yeah.
you're in the shower, because that is something that most of us can do on repeat very easily and automatically. So it allows a part of us to come through that wasn't there. And I think for some people who've never done this before, this is why I said 5 minutes, because it can be quite confronting, the idea of sitting in silence or sitting quietly for a little bit, or walking the dog and not listening to something,
Yeah.
where it's just actually taking that opportunity to be a human being for a small moment and just notice.
Oh, I love this episode. So much fun. So you're going to be coming back again on the podcast. We are going to be talking about delegating.
Yes.
Getting rid of some of that shit on your to-do list, but being okay with it. Because there's another part of us that isn't often okay.
Mm,
And that's why we hold on to things and we feel like we need to keep that control and we need to be the master of everything and not pass anything on to anybody. I'm excited for that episode.
cool. Me
Have you
too.
got any final words that you would like to leave our listeners with when it comes to resilience?
I think what we said at the start is get clear on what resilience means to you. Yeah. Be comfortable with the word. If you need to change it slightly, if you want it to just be aware of that word and how you define it, but also start with just step by step. This doesn't have to be a massive change. Just a little thing will make a massive difference anyway. Little steps.
Philippa, thank you.
Thank you.
You have been wonderful as ever.
Thank you.